Go ahead and sign in.
You need a pen?
Mom says I'm so contagious.
Skip the chaos and the germs. Log in to waitfromhome.com. See wait times at over 15 UMC clinics. And when it's time to come in, we'll call or text. Skip the wait. Waitfromhome.com.
Welcome to the RedRaiders.com pregame show brought to you by UMC Health Systems. I'm Don Williams from the Avalanche-Journal alongside our sports editor, Nicholas Talbot. We are here today to break down Texas Tech's game on Saturday against the Oklahoma Sooners. 2:30 p.m. kickoff in one of the longest stadium names in college football. It's the Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium, unless you prefer the old style, Owen Field. Anyhow, Oklahoma a two-touchdown favorite against the Red Raiders. Tech goes into this one 5-2 overall, 2-2 in the conference. Oklahoma has lost only one game, and some neat angles in this one, aside from just a good football game itself, the fact that for Texas Tech there's a familiar face behind center. We're not just talking about Patrick Mahomes, Nick. We're talking about behind the other team's center.
Yeah, there is. Of course, everyone at this point is kind of familiar with the Baker Mayfield story. You know, he battled Davis Webb for a starting quarterback position his freshman year, and then had the transfer away, mainly because he wanted to be the starter. There was a little bit of turmoil there, or a lot of turmoil, however you want to look at it. Most people look at it, a lot of turmoil. You could tell on the Texas Tech coaches' faces, Cliff Kingsbury, when we asked Jared Castro, the center, you could kind of tell they were getting tired of it being asked about the Baker Mayfield situation. But really, this is the first time they're really going to get a good look at him and what he's been able to do for Oklahoma. Mayfield's been having an outstanding season for them. A lot of people, wonder what he would be doing here, but of course Tech has Patrick Mahomes. Mayfield's thrown for 19 touchdowns already this year. The Oklahoma offense is clicking. He's thrown for 1,875 yards. So they're going to get really up close and look at what Baker Mayfield could have been here this week with the Oklahoma offense, which is just clicking under Lincoln Riley. But they might not just win it on Baker Mayfield's arm. There's a lot of ways this Oklahoma team can attack you, Don.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I'll be curious to see is how does the old muleshoe mule Lincoln Riley choose to attack the Texas Tech Red Raiders, the former Texas Tech guy who trained under Mike Leach when he was here. Now he's Oklahoma's offensive coordinator in his first year with the Sooners, and about half the Sooners' offensive staff is from Texas Tech. The outside receivers coach is Dennis Simmons. The offensive line coach is Bill Bedenbow. So there's some more familiar names on the Sooners sideline for Tech. But for me, again, it comes down to a question of does Lincoln Riley ride the arm of Baker Mayfield against the Red Raiders, or does he try to attack the Red Raiders in what has traditionally been their Achilles heel, which is running the football? That's one thing that surprises me when I look at Oklahoma's stats for this season and what they have done is you have two, to me, of the most talented running backs in the Big 12 when you're talking about Samaje Perine, who was just outstanding last year, and then you're talking about Joe Mixon on top of that, who was simply the nation's most highly recruited running back. Last year, he sat out because of that domestic violence incident. But neither of those guys are in the top five in the Big 12 Conference in rushing. Perine, I believe, is around about 400 yards so far through 6 games. But, you think back to last season in Lubbock, and it was a 42-30 game. Oklahoma won. And I thought the Sooners spent a lot of time that day throwing the football and maybe outthought themselves, and then finally in the second half they started pounding it, and Perine was effective against the Red Raiders.
He ran for 213 yards.
213. It was a painful deal for Tech, figuratively and also literally. There was one instance there in the fourth quarter where J.J. Gaines, Texas Tech safety, ducks his shoulder to make a tackle, and Perine, a 230-pound guy, hits him, and his shoulder pops out, and that winds up being season-ending surgery for J.J. Gaines. So, again, to me, the question is, does Lincoln Riley go heavy on Baker Mayfield's arm Saturday, or does he go heavy on the legs of Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon?
We definitely know Perine's capable. I mean, he ran for almost more yards in a single game last year than he has all season so far. So, he's just waiting for that bust-out performance.
One thing I'm pretty sure of, though, is Texas Tech's going to have to score a lot of points in this one. Whichever formula Oklahoma chooses, the Red Raiders are going to have to score with the Sooners to have a chance to pull the upset. So, going to be a another good test for Texas Tech's young quarterback, Patrick Mahomes.
It will be a great test for him because this is arguably one of the best pass defenses in the Big 12. Statistically, right now, it's there. Of course, West Virginia is very heralded, but with Zach Sanchez and Thomas in the backfield.
Sanchez was a Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week last week.
Yes, he was.
Third time in 14 games. Had a couple of interceptions there.
Yeah, he did. Even in the first game of the season, they kind of really struggled, but they've really come on late. They're only allowing 152 yards a game. They intercepted West Virginia 3 times. They had 3 more interceptions last week, and that secondary's really come on. It's really going to be a challenge for Patrick Mahomes. Now, he had a lot of success last year against Oklahoma, and Oklahoma struggled to stop the pass last year, which a lot of people were just kind of scratching their heads about, just like, why? But this year, they've kind of turned around, and I think this is going to be his biggest challenge yet. But I think one of the bigger questions is how is he going to rebound? This is the first game where Patrick Mahomes is coming off a game where he didn't look that hot. Even Cliff Kingsbury, who's kind of his biggest supporter, kind of derated.
Say he didn't play well.
Yeah, he said he didn't play well, and that's the first time I've heard Kingsbury ever say that. Usually he just says, we had a lot of drops, or, offensive line protection broke down. But this time he just said he didn't play well. So we got 2 things that Patrick Mahomes is going to have to do. He's going to have to respond to last week's game, which was just a disaster from all sides of the football for Texas Tech, and he's going to have to go against one of the best pass defenses in the Big 12, and that's going to be really challenging for him. I'm really interested in seeing how he's going to respond on.
Yeah, and I think another couple other keys there is one thing maybe you didn't mention quite as much. Oklahoma can bring pressure from a variety of sources. On one end, they got Eric Stryker coming at you. On the other end, got Charles Tapper coming at you. You look down their stats, and there's about 15 guys it seemed like who have a couple of sacks, and I think it's a big potentially bounce back game, or needs to be a bounce back game for the Texas Tech offensive line as well, because those guys didn't play well, and certainly not up to their reputation up in Kansas. And I mean, if they played the way they did against Kansas and all the pressure that they did, it's going to be a really long day.
It will be a really long day. This Oklahoma team sacked West Virginia 7 times when they played in that 44-24 win on October 3rd. And if they get to Patrick Mahomes that much, Texas Tech could be in real trouble. But more than that, Don, one thing we got to look forward to is this is the first of a 5-game stretch that could go either way. We're kind of surprised that it's a 14-point spread, but Kansas State, that Oklahoma really showed they were made of. So I think the spread grew a little bit. We were talking last week how we don't think either of these last 5 games might be decided by more than a touchdown or be favored by more than a touchdown. What exactly does Texas Tech have to do, and how can they build momentum going into if this might be the toughest test of those first 5?
Well, they certainly.
Last 5.
I think the one thing is that they've got to come out and play well. I think it's a long shot that Texas Tech goes to Norman and wins, but they can't afford to lay an egg. They need to go out. They need to have this game be close, be competitive, feel good about yourself regardless of the outcome. I would compare it maybe kind of the TCU game, even though Tech did not acknowledge that they felt optimistic or gained some confidence from playing the TCU down to the wire. I feel like that they did, and I think they need to continue to do the same against Oklahoma. Even if they don't win, they need to go up there and play a good football game, because this stretch of the last 5 games of the season, particularly the last 4 after Saturday, I think you're talking about 4 games that are going to be, if not toss-ups, pretty close to it. When you're talking about Oklahoma State coming to Lubbock on Halloween, Oklahoma State is undefeated, but I think most people feel like
they haven't beaten anyone.
Well, they've beaten Texas, Kansas State. They've beaten Texas, Kansas State, West Virginia, and those are all games that went down to the wire. Credit to them that they won all of those games, but they haven't done anything really to convince people that they're the legitimately number 14 and the number 14 team in the nation, which is where they're ranked. So
yeah, they didn't handle Kansas State 55-0 like Oklahoma did last week. That's for sure.
Yeah. So you got that game, then you got the trip to West Virginia, then you have the home game against Kansas State, and KSU's shine is diminished some after what happened to them last week, and then close the regular season with with the game down at Texas, and the Longhorns only sitting at 2-4 right now. So Tech has, Tech can, I guess, rewrite what has been a very bad script for the Red Raiders over the last 5 years, really ever since Mike Leach left, or I guess it's the last 4 years now. Final 5 games of the season, Texas Tech is 2-18, and those 2 wins were double overtime game against Kansas here in 2012 and a late comeback at Iowa State in 2014. So last 4 games of the season, or last 5 games of the season, the last 4 years, the Red Raiders haven't beaten anybody of substance. And so they're trying to again change that script, and that starts with what you show on Saturday.
And that said, Don, what do you think they're going to show on Saturday, and how do you see the game coming out?
Well, I think it's going to be a game similar to last year. Again, I think it'll be tough for Tech to defend the Sooners, particularly if Lincoln Riley doesn't outthink himself and he turns loose Samaje Perine. I think Sooners will score, and then again, I'm a little bit concerned about the Texas Tech offense with the way the offensive line performed last week, and still questions at receiver. With I don't think you'll see Ian Sadler this week, and so you're going to have again some of those guys like Zach Austin and Tony Brown, and some of those young receivers are going to have to step up and make plays for you. I think that's a big challenge in this environment. So my pick in this one is Oklahoma 42, Texas Tech 24.
All right. I'm kind of the same line there. You got them by 17 there, right? No, 18, right? 42-24? Is that what you said?
42-24.
I got around the same thing. I think it's going to be a slightly more high scoring. I'm going to go Oklahoma 51, Texas Tech 31. I still like what Texas Tech can do. Yeah, they took a step back last week, but I think they take a step forward again on offense. The receivers aren't quite there yet, except for Jinky Grant. Hopefully Texas Tech will get a little bit better performance out of Devin Lauderdale than they did last week. And
Cliff Kingsbury did say that he believes he's fully healthy. Devin Lauderdale's fully healthy this week. He said he wasn't on Saturday.
Yeah, and I think that'll make a big change for the offense to have both of the speedsters out there. So I think that'll help a little bit. I think they'll have a bigger game, but it's just not going to be enough to win it in Norman. If we were talking about it in Lubbock, maybe we have a different matter here, but I say 51-31.
So those are our picks, and we'll find out on Saturday, 2:30 p.m. again in Norman at Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium.
That's a mouthful.
That's going to that'll put a wrap on it for us for this week's pregame show. Again, stay with us. You can stay with us all day, every day at redraiders.com and LubbockOnline.com for your full daily Texas Tech coverage. And on game day, we'll have game columns from myself and from Nick, notes, statistics, sidebars, you name it.
Photos.
And photos from our multimedia editor, Mark Rogers.
Hi, Mark.
So for Nick and for Mark, I'm Don Williams from the Avalanche-Journal. Everyone take care. This has been the redraiders.com pregame show, brought to you by UMC Health Systems.